Hello everyone, in today's video I will be providing a background on the exceptional quarterly return for Q2 of 2020 and also share with you what investors should really be looking forward to in the second half of 2020. So please stick to the very end of the video to find out. And if you're new to my channel, please know that I work on videos covering stocks, economics, and other relevant financial news. If those things sound interesting to you, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel, as well as give me a thumbs up. So let's jump straight into it. The month of June is now officially over, and I just want to share with you this really cool chart here that really shows how for the major indices, we have exceptional returns for Q2 of 2020. Let's begin with the Dow Jones. So the Dow Jones ended the second quarter with about an 18% gain, as you can see here. This was the best quarter since 1987, so very long time ago. As for your S&P 500, they've also had their a really great quarter of a 20% gain, and this is like the best quarter since 1998. And then the Nasdaq for your technology companies actually popped 31% for Q2. This is actually the best they have had pretty much since like the dot-com bubble. So I'm sure everyone's quite surprised by this sudden quick rebound, mainly driven from like the Federal Reserve and also like the stimulus programs that we've gotten from like the US government. For the second half of 2020, there's really three things I want to point investors' attention to. The first one will be for jobs. We want to see if people will be actually going back to work, and if they're just going to be afraid of the virus still and choosing to opt out of like the labor market. This will be something that will be interesting to really see if there's a positive trend happening. The second thing I want to talk about is the positive trend in the coronavirus cases. As of right now, the number of daily new cases is not trending in the right direction at all. So let's see how this plays out for the second half of 2020. The third thing I want to talk about is the vaccine. Let's see if there's any development on this front at all. Let's jump straight to the first one, which is about jobs. So the June job report showed that we have about 5 million new jobs added. And this was actually a really good sign because most of the jobs that were added actually came from leisure and like hospitality. This was the sector that was actually hit, that actually suffered the most during the pandemic so far. So really great sign to see. Another trend we want to be looking for is really the unemployment rate. So at the June job report, they reported that the unemployment rate is actually still at 11%. Now, still definitely trending in the right direction from unemployment rate of almost 15% back in April. So this is something to be kind of cautious about. But one thing I definitely want to point investors to is that the Labor Department actually reported that the unemployment rate calculation only captures from up until the middle of June, and actually does not cover the entire June month. And we need to remember the coronavirus cases actually started accelerating about 2 weeks ago after mid-June. So let's see if this actually is going to be hurting consumers' confidence at all. The next thing investors should really look out for the second half of 2020 is absolutely the coronavirus cases. Recently, in the past 2 days, in July, the number of coronavirus cases for the U.S. actually surpassed 50,000. And in terms of Texas, this was a state where they are now asking the people who live in Texas to now wear a mask in public. Even though they are one of like the earlier states that have been very aggressive in their reopening. So this is a trend that we should really be looking for, but it's absolutely not trending in the right direction and actually could have significant stock market implication. Here's a very funny article I found where in terms of like the cases going up, we can kind of see why, like the number of students in Alabama are making bets on who can catch the coronavirus first to keep the cash. Definitely something not recommended at all. I don't even know what they were thinking about. And then in terms of like other countries like outside of the US, like India is one interesting one to be looking at, just given like their population size. They are right now hitting about like 20,000 daily new cases, and there's no sign of them slowing down at all. So this is actually something to be a little bit more cautious of, just given that other countries have not really tested on a large scale, unlike the US with over 35 million testing done by now. in case you're actually wondering, you might be asking, well, okay, the daily cases are going up, but the death rate has actually been going down. Like, why is that, right? So I found a timeline here to help everyone out to really understand like timeline here. As you can see here, even after someone dies, it typically takes about 7 days based on like the report I read, and I'll put the link in the description below, but it's about 7 days before there's actually reporting of a coronavirus death. And on top of that, the CDC actually even reported that sometimes there might even be problems of not classifying a death due to coronavirus, and they might actually be classifying a death due to other symptoms as well. So this is actually something that's kind of, you got to be a little bit cautious of in terms of like the death rate. There's definitely like a time lag here, as well as classification mistakes as well. In terms of what Dr. Fauci is saying, this is something to really be cautious of, especially in the second half of 2020, and we should not let our guards down at all. So Dr. Fauci said on just this past Thursday, he said the coronavirus has mutated to become even more infectious. And this is particularly troubling because, Fauci seems like he personally believes that there's little dispute about this and that the viruses have mutated, and scientists kind of think that this mutation is going to be much more deadly, which and so far is not true yet. We're not seeing in the death rate, but let's see how this plays out. And in terms of like the vaccine, again, very positive news, just published on like July 2nd, how we are working on a vaccine. And again, the FDA is reiterating that we're probably going to get it in early 2021. So this is, again, positive news that we got from Pfizer, that they are getting a little bit closer to making a vaccine. So what I'll say is that it has been a very wild stock market ride for the first half of 2020. And there's no better way for like the major indices like the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones to close out with exceptional gains for for Q2 of 2020. So I hope everyone enjoys their 4th of July weekend. Definitely a lot more things to pay attention to in the second half of 2020, such as the unemployment rate numbers, the coronavirus cases, and any vaccine developments at all. So with that being said, I want to thank everyone for watching the video. It really does mean a lot to me. So if you found it helpful, please subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content like this, as well as hit the like button as well. Drop a comment and I'll respond back to you as well. Enjoy the fireworks and your time off. Thank you, everyone. Bye.